Forget about the stock market, especially if you aren't already at a position where you can consider yourself rich. The greatest investment you can ever make isn't in Tesla or the S&P 500. It is simply in yourself. There's one investment that outperforms stocks, crypto, real estate, and every single time I see people ignore it time and time again. They think if they just park their money into stocks, it's just going to magically make them a millionaire. No, it's going to make you 7% of that every single year. But 7% of $10 is nothing. It is an absurd amount to be making. At that point, you might as well go buy a meal because it will actually help you out a lot more than those $7 return. The reason I mention this is because I too was in that position. I started my entrepreneur journey when I was 16. And just to introduce myself, I'm 23 years old, a millionaire from YouTube and real estate, still in college part-time because I want a backup plan, but I also like learning, and most days I just play video games. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I too was around a generation where hustle culture was basically emerging out of nowhere, out of thin air, and all I kept seeing was, oh, if you want to get rich, put your money into the stock market. But as I got older, year after year, I realized that the stock market wasn't this novelty of a thing. Yes, it was interesting, and yes, a lot of people do make a lot of money from it, but I also came to realize everybody's invested in it. And if everybody's invested in it, everyone isn't rich. So I'm not trying to downplay the effects that the stock market could have on your life. I'm just mainly stating the fact that the amount of people that park their money into the stock market that haven't already accumulated a decent amount of wealth or don't have the means to get themselves to a position where it does pay you a decent amount, it's really hard to rely on that. And I genuinely believe at this position, it is better to, instead of parking your money, actually using your money to teach yourself stuff. And so this kind of goes into the whole skill set thing, but essentially, even when I was young, I didn't really think about it too transactional, but I valued skills because they were fun. That is simply the reason I learned a lot of the skills that I learned. And those skills included Photoshop, editing, animating, just a couple things here and there that I thought was interesting, and I had no idea I could even monetize it. And honestly, I think that's the best part about my childhood, is that I tried all these things that are monetizable by accident. But basically, stocks might return you 7 to 10% a year. That's assuming you're not counting tax or inflation. A true skill that can 10x whatever it is that you put into it is any skill that is monetizable. And these skills could genuinely happen over a few nights. So if you genuinely want some sort of overnight success and you don't know where to start, it's with these skills. Now, these skills could be virtual, they could be in person. It doesn't really matter where you get the monetizable skill from. I know in a lot of these videos, I mentioned places like Upwork and Fiverr where you can sell your skill sets. And that's fair, but these are only online platforms. There are tons of IRL skills that you can learn even from a 9 to 5. So keep that in mind and have an open mind to that sort of stuff. Learning in general is very high level, or can be very high leverage, I should rather say, with things like sales, copywriting, editing, which is my personal favorite because that's what I use to get myself my first $10,000, coding, or even video production, which is something I learned and didn't get paid for until much, much later because of delayed gratification. But this sort of stuff can take you from your first $0 to $100,000. And in all honesty, this is what should be taking you to $0 to $100,000, either this or a job. It doesn't really matter how you get there. And as a lot of people like to say, especially in the whole finance and business niche, your first $0 to $100,000 is some of the hardest money you'll ever make in your life. And I stand by this to this day. Even making your first $0 to $1,000 or $0 to $10,000 is some of the hardest money you'll ever make in your life. It does get easier after that point. Yeah, basically, unlike stocks, skills are not correlated with how the economy is going, and it's not as stable, which is kind of the good part. It's more of a high risk, high reward. But don't let that put you off because these skills are not hard to learn. Literally, you have so many resources with ChatGPT, YouTube. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of what I'm telling you guys and a lot of what I just like to talk about in general came from YouTube. And it wasn't like, oh, I paid a membership. No, nothing. I've never bought a course. The only thing I've ever bought is maybe a membership to some day trading stuff in the past. And that didn't even work out for me. I was paying for a few months and I'm like, damn, this thing is not working. I need to cut this off. And so genuinely everything is out there for free and you could learn it however you want. A skill, in my opinion, also makes you kind of recession proof. No matter what recession happens, no matter if the US like entirely collapses, that's just where I'm from. I'm assuming you guys are from the US as well. Even if the entire country falls apart, these skills of yours are forever. They will stay with you until you die, essentially. And so that way, you just kind of have a safety net. Return on investment with skills are infinite, which is a really good thing. It unlocks both income, opportunity, and later on, in my opinion, automation. Because if you can do your skill really well, later on, you might be able to put yourself into a CEO position where you hire other people to do that skill for you, assuming you have a way to get client acquisition. Acquisition? I mix those two up. But basically, reinvesting into yourself is one of the best things I think you should do, especially if you're still stuck at this $0 to $100,000 a year range. This is not income. This is talking about $0 to $100,000 saved. Just wanted to clarify. I think another thing that people really underestimate is reinvesting into your own business. But obviously, you need a business for this to actually work. But this is hands down one of the biggest multipliers I've ever had in my life. Your business has better ROI than any stock market because you control it. If you reinvest profits into the things that matter. Now, I'm not talking about getting some luxury stuff, okay? So in my opinion, or in my situation, I should say, I had a YouTube channel, a gaming one, and it was very prosperous at that time. And so my biggest reinvestment or allocation of funds would be right back into the business. I think I roughly spent around $250 to then make thousands of dollars in return. The $250 simply went to the editing and the thumbnail. So you can kind of see the ROI on that was insane margins. So I really do think reinvesting profits back into the business is a very good idea. Just make sure to do it at your own pace because everyone has a different risk tolerance. I didn't quite enjoy risk. So a lot of the times I did lose out on growth because I wanted to pull out of the business and move my funds into real estate, which is the main thing I do now. Every dollar that you put into your business compounds faster than Wall Street could ever. Because don't forget, stocks are not this magical money tree. Stocks are literally companies that utilize your dollar better, faster, and more efficiently than you can. So they're borrowing your buck to make their own income, their own exponential growth, and then give you a little bit in return. See what I'm saying? And so if you think about it like that, you're like, dang, I might as well start my own business. So that is the type of mindset I think you guys should have. And once you do get your own business, then this opportunity will open up to you. So I do understand how for a lot of people, including a lot of friends that I talk to, this option is not really there. But I genuinely believe in this day and age, it's so easy to find and make a business in any niche, in any sector. You just have to put the effort in. But genuinely speaking, stocks are very passive, but your business is very active. Active money scales when you do. So it is correlated. And I know this whole hype about passive income, but my hot take is passive income is slow. Okay, passive income isn't something you should be really prioritizing until you either have a lot of money to deploy, a lot of income to deploy, or you're looking to retain and secure your wealth rather than trying to grow it as fast as possible in an aggressive strategy. This isn't about just financial return. It's genuinely about freedom, leverage of your own time, and just keeping at it. I think you'll reach financial freedom a lot faster using this method. And so all throughout this, I did want to kind of highlight the concept of delayed gratification, which is basically you putting in the work before getting the results. And the results might come a day after, a week after, maybe even a month after. But that's not really the point. The point is you're investing into yourself, your business, onto something you know that will work if you just put enough effort. And if you just show up enough, it will eventually work out in your favor. Because just like compound interest, your actions compound, your skills compound, your life compounds. So the stock market definitely teaches you patience. And I wish I put a little bit less time and money into the stock market when I was younger before I even made $10,000. And self-investment genuinely is the best way to get from $0 to $100,000. So invest in yourself. It isn't risky. Not doing it, not investing in yourself is the risky part about it. If this resonated with you in any shape or form, consider subscribing. These are really fun to make, and I've been seeing some progress with the channel. So thank y'all for listening to me yap. Hope this has been helpful and just kind of nice to hear. You know, a lot of us tend to be in our own lanes and just kind of work on our own businesses, and it's pretty solo work. So hope this has been fun. Peace.